Well, here's another video, and I think I'm going to entitle it Terrence McKenna and the Mandela Effect, because you will see I've captured a portion of one of his dialogues with people, and he made so many. I really love listening to this man. Terrence McKenna was an explorer into the psychedelic world, which to him was to discover other realities and to have profound questions and great understanding that the average person doesn't get. I think there's something to be said about putting the mind, the brain, into a state of not thinking so much so that it can hear what we can't know, because our thoughts are always so crowding out any of our ability to hear plainly. But this man, well, listen to what he has to say, because this sounds so much like the Mandela Effect. And now I'm going to start it.
But one that interests me is the plasticity of time in the dream. And I think I would argue, as the devil's advocate, that it is the plasticity of historical time and the acceleration, the sense of an out-of-control spin up or spin down into new domains of possibility that is the strongest evidence present at hand that we are in some kind of dream. I've struggled my whole life with, I've always believed, or I've always felt the power of the statement, the world is made of language. But of course, you think about this proposition for 30 seconds, and the question that arises then is, if the world is made of language, then why isn't it the way I want it to be? You know, why does it have this prepotent momentum for its own? It has its own raison d'etre, even if it is language. Well, I think, and it's appropriate to speak of this to an audience as digitally sophisticated as I assume you must be, I think the primary insight that has been secured here at the end of the 20th century, primary contribution of 20th century thinking, if you will, is to have understood finally that information is primary, that this world, this cosmos, this universe, this body and soul are all made of information. Information is a deeper and more primary concept than space, time, matter, energy, charge, spin, angular momentum. The world is made of language. The implication for the digerati is that reality can therefore be hacked. If reality is made of language, then what we're saying is that it's code. And if it's code, then it is far more deeply open to manipulation than we ever dared dream. I mean, we've been messing around on the desktop, opening files with religions and political systems and xenophobic theories of racial superiority, all this crap that haunts the human historical adventure. It means we have not addressed the deeper levels. And in thinking about this and the relationship to dream and human culture, I have realized that cultures are like operating systems. We are like hardware. The human animal is a piece of biological wetware / hardware. And it has been, we know, pretty much as we confront it today for at least 140,000 years. At Klassus River cave mouth in South Africa, they have excavated Homo sapiens sapiens skeletons 100,000 years old, and that person could have sat in the front row here tonight and nobody would have batted an eyebrow. So the human hardware has been in place for a while. What has changed rapidly in comparison to the rates of biological evolution are the operating systems. The people who excavated which was at that time thought to be the world's first city, and in any case is a city 7 millennia old. When they excavated the central plaza at they discovered that a black basaltic slab had been set up there by the earliest kings of and that was the cultural operating system. And if in a deal trading goats for olives a dispute arose, people had reference to the central operating system, and these things were determined. Well, now, 101 was fine for olives and goat trading, but it didn't support higher mathematics, it didn't support rational exploration of nature. It didn't support astrological knowledge about the movement of the stars. As we have gone forward through culture, we have swapped out these operating systems. And at each swap out, there has been a lot of hair pulling and cussing and screaming. Anyone who has installed a new operating system is completely familiar with that sickening from the bowels kind of coldness, as you realize it all hangs by a thread. Now, this situation, or this operating system metaphor, I think is a useful one for understanding, and again, a circle closes, the balkanization of epistemology that causes me such anxiety. If you meet an Aboriginal person from the Amazon, for example, they may be running Witoto 3.0 as their operating system. Nicely supports animistic magic, huge capacity when it comes to making fish traps and bird traps. Witoto is a powerful operating system for a rainforest Aboriginal. In our culture, there are, I have no idea, at least 10 or 20 operating systems, all going at the same time. Some will run Mormonism, some will support Catholicism, others Kabbalah goes at the speed of light, others support quantum physics, some support econometrics, others support political correctness, and these things are mutually exclusive. And so looking at this clash of operating systems, I've come to the conclusion, and some of you may have heard me say this before, that culture is not your friend. That's the final conclusion. You see, well, this came to me a few months ago when I had my yearly physical. And as I was buttoning up, my doctor said to me, he said, in the 19th century, most people your age were dead. And I realized that this was true, and that among all the revolutions that we are enduring, one of them is that we live nearly twice as long as people lived very recently in the past. Well, culture is a kind of neoteny.
Okay, that ended there. Okay. Well, I just wanted to say that I found that to be very enlightening, and that our biggest enemy is those who can control thoughts. And some people do mind manipulation for the good, and some do it for their own agenda. And it's not necessarily good. But any time we are being programmed to hate and to resent, then we're controllable by those that are doing these things. I realized this during the build-up to the election, and how I heard from so many people words of disunity and hatred for those who thought differently than they did. I personally was not for Trump because I saw him as someone who believes that might makes right. And I don't believe that. I think I would like to see someone become our president who would stand up for the people, who the first thing would go to Standing Rock and help the Indians there with their fight with the big oil. And a lot of other things I can imagine them doing that we don't see our leaders doing today. Doing something about chemtrails, saying something about Monsanto and GMOs and that sort of thing. Fighting for the good of the people. So I just think that the Mandela Effect is a phenomena that is meant to wake us up and help us to see that our world is like a computer code and we're being played. And we don't have to be played if we are aware that it's happening. And then we're not so easily manipulated. And that, for me, the answer is to love all people. I've had to deal with, how can I love Trump? But I must do it. And so I'm trying to see the best for him. I don't wish anything bad to happen to him, only good. And I wish that he will do only good. Do I expect it? I don't know. Impossible things have happened before, so there's a slim chance there, maybe a pretty good chance if there's some interference. And by interference, I mean heavenly. Or maybe our space brothers will say, no, you can't pollute your earth and ruin your water, and they'll come down and give us some assistance. Now that sounds foolish for me to wish that, but I find myself wishing that because money and moneyed people, they have the strongest and the loudest voice, and it is might makes right in this world. It should be right makes right instead of might makes right. Anyway, just wanted to holler at you and give you my thoughts on this. And this is the Dove Lady, over and out for now.